Do you know what pain is like? I do, because I watched Lazarus. And for a show that is all about how pain is a good thing, it does a really, really bad job at portraying that. In fact, it does a really, really good job at wanting me to take the opioids it advertises as being so horrible. Now, you may think I'm joking about this opioids thing, and you would only be half right in that assumption. By the way, forgive my congestion. My voice is all messed up since I got back from Utah. Tennessee apparently is like this giant basin, and so yeah, allergies really act up when you get back from one of the driest places on Earth. I am shaking this camera a lot by shaking my desk. That's deeply upsetting. Yeah, this show has a lot of problems. Number one being that it is so boring, so boring. The only child, quit biting the cords. My parents got a new cat, and he is having to stay in my room because our other cat has feline leukemia. And so, yeah, kitten likes to bite the cords. Yeah, this show has a lot of issues. First of all, being that, one, it's really boring. There are only a few moments where there's some really. There are only a few moments where there is some truly incredible animation, specifically, particularly in the fight scenes. But outside of that, not so much, not so good. Um, the only really. Stop playing with the cords! You're gonna get yourself freaking electric. It's really easy with this cat running around, I swear. So easy. Really helps me focus. Where was I? Oh yeah. The animation, however, in the fight scenes is really kind of nullified by the fact that the characters don't have any personality. So there's really no sense of investment in the fight scenes. And also, like, there's no witty humor to break it up. There's no, like, really any good dialogue in the fight scenes. In fact, dialogue throughout the entire show is absolutely abhorrent. It is horrible. It really takes you out of the moment. It's so stiff. I'm not going to make the joke I was about to make. You can make that joke at home. It's so bad. It's so bad. The dialogue is so bad. It's like I'm watching two pieces of cardboard talk to each other, except it's like a skit in The Office, but it's not funny, and it just doesn't land. And it's not trying to be funny either. There's no like self-awareness at all. Um, but yeah, like there's just nothing to kind of like break up the parts where there is good animation in the fight scenes and stuff, and there's nothing to like kind of keep you invested because the character development is non-existent, except when the show tries really hard, and you can tell that it's not working well. Also, there's no like music to kind of go along with the animation. They really dumped all their budget into the animation for a few fight scenes on this show, and it was not worth it. It was not worth it in the slightest. It was a horrible idea. Like, genuinely, this would be a better show if the fight scenes were slideshows or just non-existent. If they could have instead dumped their money or divvied out their money into other areas of the show, such as the dialogue. Or paying good writers, perhaps? Which, by the way, the entire plot of this show to begin with is just horrible. So, I'm going to try my best not to make this summary overbearing. I have a bad habit of doing that. Basically, the gist of the show is it takes place in like 2052, 2051, alternate future, and this guy named Dr. Skinner, huge like scientist guy, develops this drug called Hopna, Hapna. Remember that, Hopna, because it represents pain, even though it's supposed to represent not pain and death. It represents death too. Death of the heart, the mind, the soul, the brain. Lots of brain rot here. More like brain decay, brain non-existent, brain beating a dead horse. You know, the usual. But anyway, this guy develops this miracle painkiller drug, and somehow everyone in the world starts taking it, except for the people who he pretty clearly developed it from, the DNA from, people who already can't feel pain in, like, the Maldives islands, some sort of islands or something somewhere. But, yeah, tons of issues with that, just on a premise level. But anyway, he takes these, he takes this, somehow everyone starts taking this miracle painkiller drug, to where you can't feel any pain and you get this little buzz, little high. Somehow it gets past the FDA and all that jazz, and the equivalent in other countries. Yeah, and everyone starts taking it. He disappears. 3 years roll around. He's like, he broadcasts himself to all the screens in the world and is like, hey guys, yeah, so you know that drug that I got everyone in the world to take somehow? Yeah, the first people who took it are gonna die in 30 days. And by 3 years, all of humanity will be dead. So, good luck with that. Unless you can find me. Yeah, and then I'll give you the, cure. Yeah. And so this team of prisoners is assembled. I say prisoners lightly because it's really stupid, because none of them are like prisoners or like have any wacky sense of morality or anything. Nothing like, no, there's no intrigue there. It's just like they might as well have got together the skilled karate goody two shoes kids from high school XYZ, I don't know. But yeah, they assemble this team called Lazarus, and this team is the US government, I should probably clarify, assemble this team called Lazarus in order to find Dr. Skinner and cure the world, save the world from being entirely disposed of. And it sounds like a cool premise. And it could be so cool. There are just so many flaws with it. It's so messed up. There was so much potential here, and they just completely ruined it. They just completely screwed it up so bad. So bad. And I think, so for one, the elephant in the room. Miracle painkillers already exist. Granted, they don't have quote-unquote zero side effects, but pain is pretty essential to daily life. If I put my hand on a burning stove and I don't feel any pain, guess what? I'm gonna leave my hand on that stove, and give it a couple minutes, my hand's gonna be burnt off. A big charred thing of ash, and then I won't have a hand anymore. That's how pain works, believe it or not. And, second of all, continuing the thing with miracle painkillers already existing, there's this thing called, I don't know if you've heard of it, opioids? Yeah, that's a painkiller. Those are painkillers. Those are the real painkillers in the real life. And guess what? They're not getting past the FDA, even though they're miracle drugs. And again, granted, they have side effects, but how many people are gonna be like, oh, no, this ain't too good to be. How many, like, educated scientists and, like, government officials working in the Federal Drug Administration, or Food and Drug Administration in the US and in other countries, is gonna be like, oh yeah, miracle painkiller drug that kills pain, gives you a little buzz, no side effects whatsoever. totally doesn't sound too good to be true. Let's just distribute this to the whole world, advertise it, be sure absolutely everyone gets this in the next like 2 to 3 years. Makes so much sense, right? Yeah, let's distribute opioids to everyone. The kids, the children, the parents, all our workers. No pain, no pain. Pain sucks. Pain bad. No way there's going to be side effects or repercussions to making it so no one can feel. No, totally not reserving opioids for the people who like just had their leg cut off and had to be dragged to the hospital and are in abhorrent pain. Like, I don't see how anyone could think this is a good, like, idea, like a good premise, just from a writing perspective. Like, how, just from like a common sense perspective, how does this work? Like, granted, if you adjusted a little, it could work so well. There could be this thing like, oh, there's this like spice, like they do in Dune. There's this like spice that you get from this one special place, and it's like everyone loves it, and then like you find out later, oh, this is bad for our health. Sort of like we found out with cigarettes and caffeine and all that stuff. It's like, well, doctors have been recommending this for, what, 50 years? 80? 90, something like that? And then it's like, oh, hey, cigarettes are bad for your lungs, by the way. You guys should know that. Like, that's a lot more realistic to be like, oh, this guy discovered this, like, new spice. And it's like, he developed this, like, spice medicine thing, yada yada yada. And it's like everyone puts this spice on all their food now, and it's like, oh, it goes great with everything. Everything has this like miracle hopna spice in it, and so everything you eat, and in the U.S., it's like that could slip past the FDA if it was like going to kill people in 3 years. Like that's way more realistic. That's a way better idea. And it could be like, oh, that even slips into other countries, and that slips into other people's food, and people are like, wow, this is really good. What is this? Oh, it's this miracle spice called hopna. I'm gonna start putting that on my Asian cuisine, on my African cuisine, on my Mediterranean cuisine. It's like and I'm sure there are other like very creative, innovative ways to do this, to think about that, right? To like implement this, like, oh, everyone has taken this spice now, or this drug, or what have you. But no, it's like, hey, yeah, FDA, we're gonna distribute this opioid to all the people of America, all the people of all the countries in the world, and obviously everyone is going to take it because no one's going to be smart enough not to, because they're all just props for the story for these guys to make money, apparently. The writers, that is. But yeah, like that makes sense. So that's big issue number one is hey, let's distribute opioids to the entire world, and somehow everyone takes it. And second thing, nobody reacts to this. When Skinner's like, hey, you're all going to be dead in 3 years maximum. Most of you are going to start dying off in 30 days. No one reacts to this. There is no sense of like immersion in the world. Everyone just keeps living their daily lives, and it's like, even if it's trying so hard to send this message about how like humans and like people don't react to stuff until it affects them immediately. And like that's a nice message to send, like, and like to explore from a literary perspective. And this is not the way to do it. The way to be like, they're like, okay, everyone's gonna start dying off in 30 days. And all of humanity who has taken this drug, even once, will be dead within 3 years. And nobody reacts. There are no even like small groups that are like create these like uprisings. There are no like cults who are like, oh, we got to save the world, destroy the government because they did this to us, and we got to destroy them before like we all die or something. I don't know. Like nothing innovative or creative like that. Just yeah, nobody reacts. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares that everyone is about to die in the next 3 years. It's just stupid. So unrealistic. Okay, now number three, I I'm kind of sort of doing this off the cuff, but believe me, I have had plenty of time to stew over this in my sorry little scalp, being so annoyed at how horrible this show is and how great it could have been, directed by Shinichiro Watanabe himself. He could have done it, man. He could have done it. He could have made this great. But no. Honestly, I don't know if it was Shinichiro Watanabe. I don't know if it was Watanabe himself or if it was more to do with the company, because for so long, like Watanabe did two, more than two that I know of, plus Space Dandy, two very, very well known and incredible anime. Cowboy Bebop and what's the other one? Samurai Champloo. And then also Space Dandy. I haven't seen Space Dandy, but all apparently like really, really good for a long time. Everything he touched would turn to gold. Got the what's it? The Maiden touch. But yeah, and then and this show is horrible, but it had so much potential. And I don't know if it was, him or just like production, being like, hey, you have 30 days to animate this really intense 20-minute long episode. Get going. Oh, by the way, you have to make the entire plot in that amount of time too. Like, it could have been something stupid with production like that. Or it could have been Watanabe himself. I don't know. The optimist in me would like to believe that Watanabe didn't drop the ball and that it was just some production BS, but I don't know that. And clearly right now I'm not looking into it. I'm just sharing my thoughts on the show. Yeah, but it's really unfortunate. Anyway, the third thing that comes to mind with this show that's like really just awful in terms of writing is there's this ongoing like gimmick, this ongoing gag that like in each one of his shows, there's each episode is very episodic, and so it doesn't, especially in Samurai Champloo, it's a big gag, which makes sense because that show's comedy. That like each episode, you're really not progressing in the plot like at all. But the thing is, with Cowboy Bebop, it makes sense because there's really no overarching plot there. It's kind of like you're not given an overarching plot. There are little dots that connect as you watch through the show, and then at the climax, you're like, "Oh, this is like what this show has been building up to." And at the same time, each story is kind of a self-contained segment. And then in Samurai Champloo, it's more the plot. The premise is that you're like the main characters are trying to find this samurai that smells of sunflowers. Very vague, and intentionally very vague, because it uses it as kind of a comedy, the comedic relief thing, to where it's like halfway through the show, it's like haven't progressed hardly at all toward finding the samurai that smells of sunflowers. And at the same time, it's like it's a comedy, and that's also not urgent. Like the goal is find this guy, not find him before he destroys the world. So it's a little different. And then like with this show, this requires some urgency. This is like chop chop, get on it. The people are going to start dropping dead in 30 days. And then our main cast of characters just does not take this seriously. They do not progress in locating Skinner at all, hardly, until like episode 9, 11, something like that. And speaking of, that reminds me, there was this scene where two of the main characters kiss. I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember their names. Axel, I think, is the one who's basically a Spike knockoff. And then the blondie. They they kiss. And I'm like, I saw it coming, but there's no chemistry there. None at all. Zilch. And it's just like, hey, moi. And I'm like, that came out of nowhere. Like, I could tell they were trying to push that. There was no chemistry there, nothing at all. Which kind of ties back around to the dialogue just being abhorrent. So bad, so bad. Which, speaking of like the voice acting, I thought Axel's voice was pretty like character accurate. I don't know about the quality of like the voice actor being able to manipulate their voice and like use it well and control it well, because the dialogue was so horrible for it to even matter. It was too horrible for that to even matter. But yeah, yeah, no, this show is just a mess. But yeah, it's just, this is not the sort of show where you can have that gimmick where you just keep not making any progress and use that as a device to explore like the world and stuff. You just can't do that when it's like, hey, this guy's going to destroy the world and we're the ones who are going to save it. Let's just screw around for a bit and waste our time until like the day we're all supposed to start dying, start dropping dead like flies. So stupid. But yeah, I've made apparent, I think by now, my fourth point, the dialogue being abhorrent. I want to put a little more emphasis on my fifth major qualm with this, which being the music. The score is just, it's horrible. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's like the music. I'm like, I could see this working and just like not being my thing on the whole, but like working in certain moments. But they just play these like 2 or 3 tracks over and over again throughout the entire show, and it really, really takes you out of the moment. Um, it's really just obtrusive whenever it plays. It genuinely throughout most of the show, it would probably be better if the music just wasn't there and it was just people talking and like the sound effects of like cars and stuff. Which, by the way, that reminds me, there was this like arc toward the end, and like this show was pretty like tame, pretty calm in terms of like violence and stuff. And then it introduces this like really dark and violent character who like kills everyone off, or who's like this master killer, and he like goes after Axel and everything. And editing fizz here on the topic of the psycho assassin guy. They made him have DID. They put that in the show, and I just wanna say, if you don't understand how a psychological condition that is already very sorely represented in media works, and you're just gonna slap that on a psychopathic murderer and be like, yeah, all people with DID are murderers, which obviously not the case. Same with psychopaths and like sociopaths and yada yada. But the stigma really doesn't help. And it's already a bad show, like a terrible show with terrible writing, and you're just gonna slap that on to be like, oh yeah, also he's crazy. Just like, so often in shows, people will put like stuff like sociopathy or like psychopathy, DID, yada yada, all sorts of stuff, and just use it as like a, hey, let's just add this on there to be like, oh yeah, he's extra crazy. You know he's extra crazy, extra crazy. Also, I'm gonna be so real. Knowing what that character went through, from what it shows in the show, I don't really think he would have DID. And even if he did, it is really not used well in the show. Like, I wasn't gonna get into DID, and I'm not gonna get super into it because I don't know a whole lot. But the way it works, in essence, is someone with DID who has been through very, very, very traumatic experiences, usually from a very young age, basically switches back and forth between different personality states, um, and it's a survival mechanism to help get them through the day. And also, you usually don't know when they're switching personality states. I don't know. It's just so stupid. They're like, yeah, this guy is actually two different people slash personalities, and one of them's a psychopath, and the other one's a psychopath. And I'm like, bro, come on. Just stop, please. If you don't understand how something works, or even like try to understand, and you're just adding to the stigma like that, just don't freaking write about it. Just say he's a psychopathic killer. That's all we need. And he's already so poorly written anyway. It's horrible. It just wasn't done well. I like I feel like you kind of set an expectation in the first few episodes, really the first few minutes of your series, being like, this is the kind of vibe, the kind of story and everything that's going to be happening. And like, if you have this action scene, if you have these action scenes for the first like 5 or more episodes that have like no blood in it and like no violence, and then you're just like, oh, by the way, this guy just kills off an entire crowd of like SWAT team members just to prove his skill. It's like something's disconnected there. And it's also like there's everything clashes in this show. Like the something Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo and historically a lot of Watanabe stuff, it really, really blends things together super well. Cowboy Bebop, for instance, really, really combined like this kind of space sci-fi fantasy, this kind of space sci-fi fantasy elements really well with these like Western cowboy elements, and among various other things like sort of like semi-cyberpunk aesthetics and just like gothic noir. Buddy. Ah. Hey, let go. Hey, let go. Look at the camera. Guys, this is Wolfgang. Hey, Wolfie buddy. Hi. There we go. I'm gonna look at the camera. He's teething right now. He's over there playing with and maybe chewing on a pencil. Anyway, yeah, this show sucks. Nothing like nothing like blends together. It's just like, hey, here's this sci-fi thing, and here's this fictional series thing, and here's this other thing, and they just instead of like blending blending together and like combining themselves, they just like clash and like collide and bounce off of each other. It's horrible. It just doesn't go together. I know you guys are gonna hate this, but this guy probably ain't gonna be in my room after probably after this video here in a little bit. I think I've said just about everything I want to say on this video or on this show. Consider liking and subscribing, and all that jazz. And anyway, with that, I'm gonna give the show a 4 out of 10, and I'm only even giving it that high for the animation. And you may say, but Fizz, you're dogging on it so hard. You're just like slapping this thing to you're just like slapping this thing to pieces. And you know what? Damn it, you're right. This show sucks. 3 out of 10. Horrible. Heck, screw it. 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10. This show is a 2 out of 10. On the Goober score. Horrible, horrible. Horrible show. Anyway, song of the video is looking through Gary Gilmore's Eyes by The Adverts. Good song. Go listen to it. Little more appropriate. I was gonna do another song, but I'll do that for another one of the videos. Yeah, consider liking and subscribing. Stay righteous, stay safe, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Johnny. Wow. Real kitty. She is like a giraffe!